Missy,
Yes, sir.
that $7,500 is that for their entire school?
So what happens is that $7,500 can only be used for computer programming courses. And so if you're taking English or history or something that's just a general ed, it won't pay for that. But the $7,500 goes towards computer information courses.
And what if they don't complete their coursework?
That's a good question. And so the way the Department of Economic Development looks at this is it's training.
Okay.
So if a student only takes one course in a computer course, they're receiving more training than what they had before they took the course. They don't have to pay that money back. They look at it as you're furthering the education of that student. Now,
So
degree completion is really what we want.
Do they get the full? So you know where I'm going with this. I mean, do they get money based on the coursework that they're taking, or do they qualify for the full $7,500? And if they don't complete it, then then the taxpayers are just out the money.
Right. So to be qualified for this program, you have to be low to moderate income. So there is a income threshold, and so you take a course, and you'll get reimbursed that money.
Okay.
And but yes, I mean they look at it. It comes from Community Development Block Grant money from Department of Economic Development, and they're looking at it as a training program.
Okay.
So on these computer programs, are you guys working with local businesses to assess what their needs for computer programming are?
Yes. So at the very beginning when we applied for these programs, we had business partners come in, about 15 business partners, and we sat down with them and we actually surveyed each one of them. What are your needs? What type of programming do you need? What are your workforce needs? And they told us what they were looking for, and we've designed this curriculum around their needs.
So how many Java programmers are currently in the pipeline? Because I understand, and I've had a number of businesses talk to me, that we have a huge problem in this community with Java programming.
Absolutely.
So, and Lincoln doesn't offer a Java programming.
Right.
So where can we get that? That's the one that I know all businesses are concerned with.
Right, and that is something that Lincoln's looking at and Lynn State is looking at as well.
Currently, there's nothing.
Currently, there isn't.
And was that an issue that was presented when this started off, or was that something that nobody talked?
No, we actually did have two companies talk about that they had a really hard time with Java, but it's a bigger issue within the educational institutions, and so. But we are talking about it, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to do something to help those businesses. We just haven't quite figured that out yet.
I mean, I guess that my question then becomes, what benefit does this really offer if the need that's in the community can't be addressed through the program?
Well, I mean, I think it will be. It all takes time. So we just started this really in 2013. Mm-hmm. We had an articulation agreement between Lynn State and Lincoln University, which was huge. Changing our educational facilities, it takes a lot of time.
Okay.
And so I think that we're going to get there because, like you said, we've had a lot of interest in Java.
Okay. Thank you.
So Certified Work-Ready Communities, this is a program again, through the Department of Economic Development. Missouri is one of 7 leading states that is working in the Certified Work-Ready area. The way this works is it's very beneficial for job seekers and it's very beneficial for businesses. So a job seeker will actually go through a testing through ACT. ACT kind of has two hats. ACT is the test that we all took in high school that we absolutely hated taking. But then they also have a part of their business, which is the NCRC, which is the National Certified Ready CCC. I can't remember what the other C stands for. So what you do is the job seeker goes to the Career Center and they take this test. And it's a 3-hour test. It's very similar to the ACT in areas of math, reading, and locating information. And we have 2 years to get our county certified. Right now we're considered in progress. So we have the job seeker side, but then we also have the businesses side. And we need to get 117 businesses to support the effort of the Certified Work-Ready Communities. So, for example, when R.R. Donnelly laid off their close to 500 employees, the Career Center went on site, tested a lot of those individuals. Now they have this certification that they can take to employers to market themselves. So, for example, ABB, they really support this program. you can take the certification to them, and they can see where you're certified, whether it's platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and they know where your skill sets are. ABB actually uses this as a screening process, and they send all their potential employees to the Career Center to be tested. So again, workforce development, it's where it's at right now, and this is just another way to help quantify our workforce. So unless there's any questions for me, I'm going to turn it over to Sean Sappenfield.
I got some.
Yes, sir.
Didn't get away that quick, did you?
Okay. So in reference to the 80-acre site that we have, it's, I think, the Vanderfelt's property.
Yes.
Is that something that the chamber owns, or is that just a cooperative project with the Vanderfelt's?
No,
family,
actually,
or-
we purchased this land in 2006, and it was a 100-acre, like you said, the old Vanderfelt's property. And since that time, Fabic, located right there, they purchased 15 acres from us. And so the remaining was the Vanderfelt's property, and yes, we purchased it outright from them.
And so I guess somebody still farms that, or?
We do have a contract with a gentleman that he does do some cropping on it.
Okay.
Until last year, the Vanderfelt's family was a tenant.
Okay.
So they sold us the land, and then they were a tenant.
Okay.
When Leon died, we redid that. Virgil, Leon's brother?
Uncle.
Yeah, uncle. Leon's
Uncle.
That's right. Still lives there, so they still have a home there.
Okay.
We took over the farming, and Monty Schmutzler, tenant.
Oh, it is his brother.
He
does
farms
the
it?
farming, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it is his brother, you're right.
Okay.
Leon's brother, yeah.
And then the core, Missouri core, who all belongs to the core group?
Yeah, so it's Audrain, Cole, Boone, and Callaway, thank you. Boone, Callaway, Cole, Audrain, and Howard actually just joined us in the last month.
This is basically just Central Missouri then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And then just a couple other things. So when people contact us in regards to bringing a business to our community, do we ever go out and visit them at their location? I mean, and if so, I mean, how often are we going throughout the state of Missouri or out of state to visit potential clients that want to possibly relocate here?
Mm-hmm. That's okay. So we do all of our marketing through CORE now.
Okay.
Just because we feel like we can really leverage our resources. We don't have a big budget for marketing at the chamber. And so, yeah, so part of our marketing events is going to Chicago or going to Dallas or going to New York and calling on primarily some companies, but primarily consultants, to talk to them about locating potential projects to Jefferson City and the core area. And so consultants really, sometimes they can be working 30, 40 projects versus a company that's just potentially working one. And so that's how we primarily do our marketing, is through CORE and calling primarily on consultants.
So CORE is basically a subcontractor to you guys in the bigger economic development.
We invest in CORE.
Right.
The chamber invests in CORE, as does Boone County, Ready, and their chamber, Audrain. We all invest into CORE.
Okay. And how
Financial
does,
resources.
now with such a broad area and Columbia being kind of the hotbed probably here, I mean, how do we see an equal look or a fair shake in that? I mean, they're marketing for a pretty broad area, so I'm just wondering how our dollars basically compare to Boone County's dollars, and who's getting more leads and why.
Well, okay, so the financial resources are based on sales, pretty much sales tax dollars that come in. So Boone County, they pay twice as much into CORE as we do. And I'll just tell you, they pay $20,000 into CORE. Jefferson City pays $10,000 into CORE. Audrain and Callaway pay $5,000. So it's kind of based on a little bit of population, a little bit of sales. And yeah, I mean, Columbia, they're going to get the majority of the leads. You know, that's just the way it is. They're a bigger community. They have the university. But whenever we are out, and I represented CORE in 4 events this year. I represent CORE as a whole. I don't represent Columbia. I don't represent Jefferson City, because companies and consultants aren't necessarily looking just at a city. They first look geographically at many states, and then they get it down to a state, and then they look within a region within a state. And so from there, then they will look at a city. And so just all of us collectively, we feel like you can just maximize your dollars much more on a regional basis.
Okay. All right.
I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to be out just marketing all the time. But we just don't have the money and the resources to do that.
Okay. That's all I got.
All right. There you go.
Thank you, Missy. I'm going to run through real quick the business expansion and retention in projects, and then small business. I also handle small business duties for the chamber. What you're looking at right here is through 2007 to 2013, these are identified expansion projects. And as you can see, the numbers are a little small there at the bottom of the chart. But I'll bring your attention to the 2013, 5 identified projects, 51 jobs, and just over $61 million in investment. As you can see here, and on the next slide, I'll also talk about a little bit the jobs. If I'll draw your attention to the jobs, you can see that the jobs drop off. Now, again, this is just identified, and the reason for that is everyone, public sector, private sector, is doing more with the same amount of employees and or less. And I'll also bring to your attention that automation is in that as well. Now, this is the same window, time capsule for years. Now, this is announced projects here within Cole County. And I'll draw your attention again to the end of the chart, 2013, which is a little hard to read. 3 projects announced in 2013, 30 jobs, just over $1 million in total payroll, and just over $8 million in total investment. And again, I'll go back to, if you look at the numbers and kind of look at the flow of the numbers of projects, the number of employees, and then the investment. If you look at the employees, the job count is minimal when you compare it to previous years. Again, it goes back to labor utilization and maximizing that, and automation is in that as well. This is a condensed look at the 3 announced projects for 2013. You have Modern Litho, Brown Printing, and Sunoco. Sunoco, if you're not aware, provides bottles along with Alpla to Unilever. So they are a supplier. In the under Modern Litho, you have the investment, $6 million. You have, with Brown Printing, just over or almost $800,000 in new private investment, and $1.4 with Sunoco. The incentives, this is where the chamber really comes into play with the incentives, helping facilitate the incentives, the application process with the companies, with the Department of Economic Development, because this is where the money is flowing from, tax credit programs. The Enhanced Enterprise Zone with Modern Litho, you can see over a 5-year window, just over $100,000 of tax credits. That is based on 20 jobs. The Rebuilding Community Tax Credit Program with Brown Printing, $236,000 plus in tax credits allowed to Brown Printing. This is based off of investment. It's not tied directly to jobs. And then with Sunoco, there was no new jobs with Sunoco, but Sunoco in 2013 and previous years is taking advantage of the Missouri Customized Training Program, and that is set at $25,000. And at the bottom of the chart, you can see the total jobs investment, and then the payroll again. As part of my duties with the Chamber, ongoing duties year by year, I'm out visiting with our major employers, and I've broken it down here by sectors. Had 48 visits last year, and these 48 visits are with the presidents, CEOs, business owners, plant managers. So we're at the upper level with conversations. This is a great way for the Chamber. The Chamber obviously touches these businesses on a day-to-day basis, but it's a great way to touch them on a one-on-one basis and identify any, and I hate to say this, but any issues and or concerns they may have. And then also, this is a way that I can identify potential expansions by any of these entities. So this has been a great program, great outreach for the Chamber, and this is something we obviously will continue to do in future years. The Enhanced Enterprise Zone, which I touched on briefly, we received the Cole County in partnership with the city. The Chamber helped facilitate the application. This Enhanced Enterprise Zone was designated in December of 2009. We have had 4 companies take advantage of this program so far within that since 2009. Modern Litho, this is Modern Litho's second application and second approval, and as you can see, $106,000 plus based on 20 new jobs and $6 million. Now that $6 million, the department will allow that you can spread this investment over time, future investment, but I will tell you that the tax credits are not front-loaded. They're not received up front. Basically, once the investment and the jobs are added, there's an annual application that's submitted to the department, and then the tax credits are allotted based on that investment in the jobs. And I was just out on Thursday with Daryl Moore with Modern Litho, and we were working with him with his annual application based on 2013 investment in jobs. Customized training program. These are funds that flow through the Division of Workforce Development, state of Missouri, to the state of Missouri for training needs. They also flow through in our region, Lynn State Technical College. They administer this program and help with the application process and identifying training or trainers for this program. As you can see, the companies that have received benefit, they're at the bottom of the page, and the level of benefit. This program is very beneficial to these companies, not only to train new employees, but for retraining purposes. As you can see when we look back at that investment in new equipment, new processes to train these people, and this is very beneficial to these companies to keep their employees and to keep a skilled workforce. This is a look from 2008 to 2013 of training awards that's been received here in the county, plus ABB setting obviously outside the county. And as you can see, there's some fluctuation from year to year. This is based on allocation coming from the state in each year, and it's also based on the need coming from the company, so based on an application. As you can see, in 2013, we received $237,000, and that is minus, and I'll get to it in the next slide, that is minus about $40,000 that R.R. Donnelley was going to receive in 2013. So the number, we're up from the previous 2 years. R.R. Donnelley, which we all are aware of, the official closing date was October 1st of 2013. Total job loss, 475 employees. Obviously a big hit to our community. After the announcement was made, 2 days later, myself and employees with the Division of Workforce Development through their employee transition team were out meeting with the HR group and assessing the need and scheduling meetings, the employment transition team meetings as they call them, to go in and assist these individuals with the type of unemployment benefits that they can receive, and then also work with them through the Division of Workforce Development and letting them know what type of training needs that they could have so they can go in and help these individuals with building their resume, interviewing skills, and looking for jobs not only within the community but through sites that are promoted by the Division of Workforce Development. Also, this I thought was a big component and a big assistance to those employees that lost employment. I worked very closely with R. Donnelly and the Division of Workforce Development in securing a location at Capitol Plaza for a one-day job fair, and then the outreach outside of that in potential employers. There were over 50 employers, local and regional, some out-of-state employers, that came to the job fair and interacted with these employees. It was a very good event. There were over 350 employees from R. Donnelly that attended this event. They allowed them time off work to come in to Capitol Plaza, and again, it was a one-day event. The Chamber in November put together a survey and sent it to individuals that we had contact information for from R. Donnelly, and surveyed these employees, and we were trying to better understand if they were currently employed, if they're back in the workforce, kind of the wage rate or range that they were at, and to see if the benefits that they were receiving through the Division of Workforce Development and how beneficial they were to these employees, basically trying to get feedback to see where these employees were transitioning back into the workforce. Small business programs. The Small Business Academy, this is based on the Kauffman Foundation curriculum. This is an annual program that the Chamber offers in partnership with the University of Missouri, the Cole County Extension Office. Chris Thompson at the Extension Office, he provides the training for this class. This is a 10-week course looking at finance, looking at decision-making, looking at marketing, and other topics. And also within this, the individuals outside of the training get a chance to interact with each other and look at best practices as well. Very beneficial program, and we will continue this in 2014. And that there is what you're looking at is just graduates from the 2013 class. Tuesday topic, another outreach program offered by the Chamber, offered every other month. Current, relevant topics we're always trying to identify and share with the business community. And what you're looking at, the numbers out to the side on the end are just participation. So you can see the social media, Affordable Health Care Act, and others that were offered in 2013. This has been a great program and continues to be.
Do you partner with the library on that?
We have not had any interaction with the library as far as offering training or any type of session. Startup Jefferson City, 2014 will be the third year. This is a partnership with the Chamber and Startup Jefferson City. What we're looking at here is to interact with those entrepreneurs within the community and engage with them and try to provide the resources they need to get their business idea to fruition and get the business started. We had a motivational event in March, and you can see the attendees. This was just to provide, we had basically people from the community, professionals from the community in different sectors, marketing, finance, real estate, come in and provide free assistance to the individuals that attended. The pitch event in April, we called it a fast pitch event. And this was an event to come in, for individuals to come in, pitch their business idea, and kind of prep them for the year-end event, which we held in October. Event in October, we had 9 participants, 3 winners at the end of that event. And what I'd like to draw your attention to, and this was great for the Startup Committee to have, is RMI, Ken Lucanati at RMI. He provided $5,000 for this program for the prize money, so this was very beneficial for those individuals. The basis of this program is not so much, I always say, not so much the money, the prize money, because it is small in comparison to what a company would need to start up. It is the interaction, networking, and the resources that they can identify to help start their business. And that's the end of mine. Any questions?
I just had one. So you surveyed the R.R. Donnelley employees in November. What was your survey results?
Survey results are within the packets. And when you say, Chris, the survey results, a specific question?
I mean, just in general. I mean,
We had basically, we were looking at individuals that were, and we knew this going into it, is R. Donnelley and their wage rates that they were paying. These individuals that were working their way back into the workforce were not at that level. So we knew that going in. The survey reinforced that. And then another piece to that is what sectors they were going back into. Were they going back into manufacturing? Were they going into the public sector, maybe taking a job outside of manufacturing? And then also looking at if there was any training needs, if they were looking to go back to school and take additional classes. So looking at a long list of different items, but basically trying to see where are these people transitioning back into the workforce.
has there been any other outreach to that group just to see if, I mean, it's been 3 or 4 months now, so to see if more of them are finding some employment or they're still looking or?
No. The simple answer is no since the survey in November. I can tell you, in talking to the Command Webs of the world, the Alplas of the world, Quaker Windows of the world, that these individuals are migrating back into the workforce. And I will tell you also that they're migrating, some of them are migrating slowly back into the workforce because of the benefits that they're receiving, and those benefits are starting to run out.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Good. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. I'm going to talk a little bit about the community development projects, also community development support and transportation. A few measures that we use when we're talking about community development efforts. One of them is our storefront occupancy rate in the downtown area, looking much better than it was from before the program came into being in 2007. 93%, which is down just a little bit. And it's down just a little bit because we are still experiencing a fairly tepid recovery in terms of the national economy and the loss of the R.R. Donnelley jobs, as well as some things with the state continue to kind of haunt us in some ways. We have also, though, done very well in terms of getting some additional assessed valuation and appraised values in the downtown core area. Continuing to get people to live in the downtown area is what makes downtowns alive 24/7, and we're having some pretty good success in that area as well. We have had some facade improvements. That is something that the city offers kind of a rebate on, and it has been a very successful program. 114 East High was one of the ones that had some facade improvements done, as well as Coffee Zone. River City Florist and the Missouri Bar put a whole new floor on their building. Very nice enhancement and expansion there. Had some new and improved businesses in the area as well. The Brandenburger Apartments above Coffee Zone are new. 3 new apartments there. I Love This Look came in, as well as Szechuan Restaurant. 200 East High shows you something about how the downtown properties have become more and more in demand. 200 East High has done the upstairs, and that's where Barry Wilson is located now, above Stark and Turnbull. And the Copper Tree Exchange also. This is, I think, the first time that I've ever experienced a situation where someone bought the building and didn't renew the lease of the current tenant in order to have the space for themselves and their business. So that's a new development. Tells you something about the demand for those properties. Had some very nice festival events that have taken place in the past year and have continued. Some of them are new, though. Thursday Night Live had its best year ever this past year. Great attendance. It's had some humble beginnings, and Kathy Crow is in the room here with us and was instrumental in getting that going. Salute to America had a rough year this past year because of weather concerns, but actually in the end wasn't a bad year. We're hopeful for another good year continuing. Blues, Brews, and Brats also had a great event, though it did get a little bit of weather there as well. Taste of Local Missouri Food Festival was a new event for us and went very well in the old Munichburg area, and the Art Stroll was a new event in the downtown area. Adding events and keeping attendance up and keeping interest up is kind of key for making sure that we continue down the path that we're on. Some of the new enhancements that came into being in 2013 were now downtown Christmas lights. They were in a fairly rough condition, and the Downtown Association want to give them some large amount of credit here. They really stepped up and put a lot of money into those Christmas lights. We depend upon the aesthetics of our downtown for a lot of economic activity, and it makes a big difference, so kudos to them. We are working on still, we did have some improvements this year, but also we're working on improving the downtown electrical service. As all these events have come into being, the demands for electricity are really substantial, and setting these things up and taking them down every time gets to be expensive, and we're trying to find a way to actually get this done in an unobtrusive manner and a cost-efficient manner so that we can meet the electrical needs of vendors as they come in for these events. Special events and new developments. We did have a Hidden Spaces event this year. This is the second year that we've actually charged for it. All of those proceeds go to the Downtown Association and for a fundraiser for them. But the Hidden Spaces event has really piqued the interest of many folks. We've had a very good response to that. The trolleys run. Actually, we're in the planning stages for it this year as well. So part of what we're trying to do is to promote the idea of redevelopment, and it's been very well received. Capital Region Medical Center and their new outpatient facility, which just recently had a groundbreaking, that is a huge $37 million project right in the heart of Old Town. That is a big development. 1003 East McCarty was redeveloped this year as well. New Hawthorne Bank facility down in Old Munichburg. The Chamber facilitated working toward a East Side Business Association historic district. Still in process on that, but substantial progress there. The Mulberry Street Apartments, working in conjunction with the city. That's been a big benefit to that area to get those buildings down. They really were a hazard, and it's going to be a very nice space when it's completely greened up. It's sometime in August, I think we might finally green up. Also, the Ash Street curb and gutter sidewalks, those are some nice improvements in that area. We have a new Quinn Chapel that, as a result of the Lafayette Street interchange, was built this past year. The Munichburg mural went into place right on Dunklin Street. That was a project of the old Munichburg Association. A very nice addition, kind of a eclectic sort of a thing to have in our historic area in the Dunklin Street area. And the refurbished Scuba Adventure. That's a huge building that's very prominent as you're going along Jefferson Street. So that was very nice. Some new businesses also came into Old Town. The Shrunken Head over on Ash Street. Wilson's Studio on Dunklin as well. The Salon on High Street. Socket Internet Services came in on Broadway. Welcome In Again opened up on Dunklin. Getting that space filled and is very busy. There's kind of almost a little restaurateur's paradise there. You got Central Dairy and Welcome In Again and Southside. You got Echo. I mean, it's pretty good choices right there in that area. Grace Counseling came into 701 West High Street. The Hoxton Tavern and Grill opened, as well as Mason's Place reopened right there on Dunklin Street. So some fair number of new businesses coming into the Old Town area. Duplicate slide there. Sorry about that. One of the things that we do, and I want to emphasize, is that when the Chamber works with folks, it is, and the stuff that I'm showing you here, This doesn't happen in a vacuum. The Chamber is not solely responsible for these endeavors. We work together with a lot of other entities. It takes a lot of coordination and a lot of, shall we say, kind of balancing in certain instances as we work together with other associations toward these ends. We work very closely with these associations you see up here, as well as the CVB. It's important that we work together. We don't want to be duplicative in our efforts, but at the same time, all these associations have a different mission than the Chamber itself. But we do have some great opportunities to cooperate and work together, and that's what we try to exploit as much as we possibly can. We also do Cole County communities. I know something that is important to the Commission and to the entire county. We work on that outreach to all of Cole County and talk to all the small communities surrounding Jefferson City. And also, the Cole County Communities Group also does the prayer breakfast. It's always good to kind of get everybody together that time of year and reflect on the blessings that we've had. Transportation initiatives had some very nice developments this past year in transportation. We did, again, do our MoDOT reception, hosted the MoDOT Commission, and also did a presentation to them. This is a unique sort of a thing. It's not that other communities don't do this, but this has been done in Jefferson City for quite some time, and it's not a common thing, frankly, that this is able to happen. The Commission always enjoys what we do and our reception. This past year we took a barge tour. It was a very nice tour, and they really enjoyed it, although it may have seemed like a 3-hour tour at the time and thought they were on Gilligan's Island. It was a little long, but actually it went very well, and the Commission's always appreciative of that. The presentation gives us an opportunity to get our priorities in front of the Commission and tell them about the things that are going on and to thank them. Very important to thank them for the many investments that we've had in our community. Some of those investments, some of the projects that were worked on, Highway 50 East new alignment is going to be a big thing. It is about 7-8 miles worth of new 4-lane alignment. You'd think 7-8 miles, no big deal. It's going to make a big deal for bringing in more folks into Jefferson City. Lafayette Street interchange, we've worked with MoDOT for the advisory committee, had a fair amount of support there, and there are investments that are being made by the county and substantial investments, and that is what we think is a huge benefit to the community. It's going to act as a gateway. Chairman Bob Gilbert has been very involved in that, working very hard to try and make sure that that goes as well as it possibly can. The Osage River Bridge was completed this past year. That took the last bottleneck out of the rail system, headed east-west on the UP line. That is a big development and is going to make a big difference in terms of ridership for Amtrak, which also leads into another project. But the sidewalks that were also improved and completed, we had a tremendous number of those that happened. Missouri Boulevard, et cetera. There were some that were up on Ellis. Tremendous improvements that happened with sidewalks. We work often with Campo, a new wayfinding study that the city is working on. They are also participating in discussions regarding the Lafayette Street interchange enhancements, and working with Campo is something that is big for our chamber and I think for the county as a whole, because transportation really does affect economic development. And finally, Progress 63 is a group that we've been working with to sort of coalesce around a solution for Highway 63. We've been talking for quite some time about interstate access for Cole County and Jefferson City. It is extremely important. Missy can tell you that one of the first check boxes that a lot of projects have is they want to say, are you on an interstate? And although we have a very good transportation infrastructure here in our area, we are not on an interstate. We're one of 5 state capitals without one, and it really does affect us negatively. We are working to change that. And some folks think that that's kind of tilting at windmills, especially in an era of very strained transportation budgets. And the fact is that we have to lay the groundwork. Transportation sometimes might seem to work at a semi-glacial pace, just simply because it takes a long time to get projects in place. There's a tremendous amount of regulations and a tremendous amount of effort that has to go into the planning process because these are big projects that cost a lot of money and mistakes cannot be made in them. So it takes a lot of effort. For those that would say that it doesn't necessarily going to work for us to ever have an interstate in Jefferson City, I would point to US 71 on the western side of the state, which became I-49. It does and can happen. We just have to keep working at it. And with that, I'll turn it back to Randy. Unless there are questions.
You took too much time as it is. Okay. One final slide. This is the recap of what we've spent, what the Chamber has spent. I think Commissioner Shepperly asked earlier about the Chamber's ownership of the Vanderfelt's farm. Basically, to acquire that site in 2006 was just under $2.3 million. These are all funds that the Chamber of Commerce has spent through its subsidiary, the 21st Century Land Investments, about $4.25 million over that period of time has been expended for the purpose of doing infrastructure and economic development improvements. So, with that.
Okay, questions? Chris? Jeff? Jeff?
I just noticed some stuff. A lot of it's downtown. All of it is Jefferson City, except for I think the Osage Rail Bridge. What are we doing to work Jefferson City area, the extended area, or promote it, to market it? Missy says she wished she had more money to put towards marketing. I think that's what we need to do, is market it, the area more, get people here, spend money and our tax money. So it seems like we're stuck all downtown.
Well, okay.
What are we doing out there at the mall area? I'm more concerned with the east side, but that's a place out there. Sorry, Chris, that's yours.
It's all right. It's all right. Hey, you want to worry about the mall? That's great.
Well, actually, we have. We participated, if you'll recall, as an example for the mall. One of the ideas in transformation was that we encourage at that time General Growth Properties to look at an incentive program to do a TIF and a CID to improve the mall. Look what happened. Fortunately, we were able to have farmer companies buy that, they have a local interest, and they were able to, in fact, they're on their way to hopefully making that mall a first-class shopping venue. So, I mean, that's an example. Downtown has its, if your downtown is not stable, your whole county is not stable. And so one of the things we do is we work in the areas that primarily focus on attraction, retention, and expansion of business, Jeff.
Well, when people leave the area to do something, it's usually shopping or eating, and I don't think we have a shortage of those things around here. So how do we promote that more? What do we do? I'm looking at the economic development part of it, because when we give the money to the chamber, that's the part I'm more concerned about. I really don't care about Christmas lights. Yeah, they're beautiful. I'll come down here every year and look at them. But,
yeah, I understand that. What our program tries to do is to cover all the bases, and I think that's what you've seen today, is that we cover all those bases and really do the things that we think have the biggest bang in terms of bringing business and retaining business in our community.
So you mentioned the downtown being stable has a lot to do with the outlying areas. I mean, so I don't want to get in the weeds here too much, but so we're looking at facilities master plan, and so some of the issues that I see, especially for our little box here, is that in our block is parking is huge issue for us, for our staff, for the people that want to do business with the county. So how do we, as a partnership with you and the city and whatever, how do we make our downtown even better?
That's a good question. and I think parking is one of those things, Chris. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I think we have for our size community, we have a very healthy downtown. It's been a lot of things. I think the first step was years ago when the city committed to doing the improvements downtown, the sidewalks, the parking changes, the streetscapes, all of that. I think one of the second things that happened was they did the 90-minute parking downtown. I think that was huge. But we do need some more parking downtown. Chamber has supported the parking garage concept behind Hawthorne Bank for 5 years, and think that would be a great thing. But again, I think the city's struggling right now with the conference center decision. I think once that is made, one way or another, then I think that we can move toward that.
Okay. I'd like to visit with you guys a little bit
Sure.
more on that. So.
Absolutely.
So I've been here for a little over 7 years. The changes have been dramatic. You guys have done a great job. Particularly, and I hate to pick on one area, but Missy and Sean have done great jobs bringing in businesses and expanding existing businesses. And I see Mark everywhere working various projects. So I appreciate the work you all have done. One issue I have that goes back every year we've been here, and it's my last year here, so it's the last time I get to ask you about it, Randy, in this capacity, is study after study, going back prior to my time on the commission, has shown that Jefferson City does not have a climate that is conducive to easy approval of expansion, for that matter, new projects. That was identified in volunteer community groups have identified that frequently as the number one impediment. I believe even the TIP study addressed that directly, which was a study we all paid for.
Absolutely.
I continue to get complaints about it. There's not much I can do in the county role except to tell them come move out in the county, because we're not against development. That's been a challenge for the chamber, and my first part of this question is, my last year here, what are you guys going to do to address that issue? Publicly address that issue, not continue what obviously has not worked. We have to change something. What are you guys going to do?
Well, Mark, it's a good question. We've struggled with that. It was a part of the transformation discussions. We had a brief bit of activity during that when Steve Rasmussen was still here with regard to some items that they wanted to do, and I think they've made some substantial progress in that. A lot of way to go. In fact, it has come back up again, and it's one thing that Bob Gilbert has insisted that we tackle this year. We are waiting for the new city administrator, Mr. Kroll, to come in, and then I think we will get back together again, and I think we will either have a task force or a chamber committee to look at that, Mark, in more detail.
Okay. Well, I know you guys are going to make this presentation to the city council tonight, I believe. Is that correct? I mean, I think this has become an issue that's been around long enough that it now needs to be elevated very, very high profile and very, very publicly. And I know we're getting ready to renew our contract with you all, which, by the way, you need to submit us a new contract. So renew a new contract. But, I mean, I think that's an issue that absolutely... Oh, we have time. Is that the old one or the new one? Okay. I mean, I think that's some language we may want to put in the contract to make sure it gets done, because you guys can knock yourselves out bringing businesses here, talking to existing businesses. But I'm aware of 2 businesses that just recently reached out to the city looking at inquiring about doing expansion projects, and we're told verbatim, your timeline just doesn't work with how we operate here. And that is unacceptable as a community. And I think the chamber, if it's going to be the advocate for economic development, can no longer try to do it quietly. It has to take it on publicly.
Points well taken.
Okay. Anything else for the chamber?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
for your help with the enhancement. There's a lot of stuff y'all do behind the scenes that people don't see. Bob, you helped with that Lafayette enhancement. I think y'all did some stuff behind the scenes to keep the St. Mary's project moving back then, so we do appreciate it. It's hard to measure exactly our return on investment, so we put y'all between a rock and a hard place and throw stuff at you and have fun with it, so appreciate it, though.
It's been a successful partnership, and I think the work you all have done has been really exemplary on behalf of the community.
We agree.
So, thank you all very, very much. I think we have to put this on the agenda to take up for a vote, because I don't believe we did that. So if you put it on the, not Wednesday, which is already 1,000 miles. Yeah. It's already 1,000 miles long. I don't think we need to do that. You guys want to keep plowing? You're going to take a break. Your call.
I'll try to do this incognito if you want.
Well, if you want to take it down, we can. What time is it? 10?
It's after 10.
Do you need coffee?
I always need coffee.
Let's just take a real
All right,
quick.
let's take a 3-minute, very short break, and then we'll jump right into Carla into your presentation, okay?
We got coffee? Dave?
Hey, Dave. How are you?
You want me to skip Randy, thank you guys.
Does this work? It's just a recording, right?
Thank you.
If I'd have known that we had a few, I would have got to figure it out.
Thanks, Chris.
Tonight.
It just wouldn't connect to that screen Oh, I was showing you. I think it's 76150. If not, try 0240 and she'll get you there. She might have a
Big table? Sure. Yeah. You may not have known anything about it.
I know a little bit about it.
I think we'll end up giving the office when you're done, but I have 3 for the guys here.
I do. Is it going off?
How do I know it's on? It's got a red line? No. Really, it's just a record.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
You just want me to buy you something?
Maybe I'll stand over there.
Yeah, there's no.
Let me see.
How are you doing?
Are you running for office?
No.
How come you have a page up?
I always have that one up.
Well, I signed up for it.
I always have
You're
it
not
up.
in my district, though.
No, Greg isn't either.
Chris
Up there
is.
working with them a little bit. Yeah. You have to butter Chris up.
Who's Greg?
Your brother-in-law.
Oh, Greg? Do you know
Yeah,
him?
he's out there doing some work for them, so
What'd you do?
they're getting him jobs.
Oh, well, Teddy's very nice.
I told him not to talk to you in case you weren't happy with that job he did for you a while back. No, I actually told him to give you a holler. Come on, call me. I probably should.
Hey, John, can you get, no picture, talked to me last week, but can you guys give me one of those hotspots over here with his PC? Sure.
The rest of it.
Just bring it over to the contract. We got 5 minutes.
You already have this? I'll take care of it.
He needed it, but it wasn't important enough to bring it over.
Yeah. I'll take care of it.
Okay. This one, it might be a 2-minute deal.
Debbie,
Told me pretty much.
that
what he
extra
did
one
before.
for you?
I don't think it's gonna be a big deal.
The 4th one?
Or the county.
Need to have this one.
Okay.
Very good.
Oh, thank you very much.
I can't help it. I don't go looking for trouble.
It's that badge. It attracts it.
It's called a,
American.
it's called a magnet. I don't say what kind of magnet. Speaking of magnets,
City council. This is his last one.
Then you got bid.
Okay. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. We will get the ball rolling again. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Carla Steck on art inside the park. So, Carla, welcome.
Greetings. Thank you for your support through the years. We incorporated in 2002 as a 501c3, and our focus has been education. And for 10 years, we've run a free project. It's a community art project. How many of you have been to an art museum?
To an art museum?
An art museum. Okay. Well, when's the last time you went?
Last year. This year. Well, no, this year. Last year.
Okay. And did you take home anything? Okay. Usually don't do that. So we've developed an experience, okay, that doesn't exist in Cole County. We, for the last 10 years, brought approximately 20 artists a year into Cole County. The first 3 years was in Memorial Park, and 2,300 kids came through in one day. And then after that, more people. It was a 4-day event. We then started writing grants. We ranked second in the state for Missouri festivals. That gave us about $27,000 to match each year. The last 2 years has been a project that realized itself in a traveling art lab. It was called Mideast Meets Midwest. And the Kickstarter campaign we became the fiscal agent for, so the money we received from the county was matched with about $260,000. Okay? So prior to the real truck arriving here in Jefferson City, we actually worked with a variety of schools. Close to 1,600 kids were engaged in building a life-size cardboard cargo truck. But the goal was to introduce them to other cultures and bring Jefferson City unusual new culture. So that is our continued goal from day one, is to expose youth who may not make it to the museum, may not find a professional artist in their neighborhood or in their school. Our most recent example was at Blair Oaks, where we brought all the artists into a variety of classrooms, the science classroom, the English classroom, not just the art classroom. The future is about inclusiveness with the arts and creativity in every educational opportunity. Some of our partners have been Lynn State Tech, who has opened up their campus to some of our projects. DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, has partnered with us from day one. They have circulated and also paid for a video to be produced, which was then circulated. The reason being they want all of the state's youth to participate in the opportunity of seeing their artwork, not only as a drawing, but as an outdoor public art piece. So we continue to work on these type of things in collaborations with a variety of schools. So the question of economic development, I think we're in that aspect of your budget, in the economic development portion.
We're in the general welfare section, aren't we?
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
We're welfare. Wow. We could slip over and take some money from Randy real easy, because the things that we are doing, they are not doing and not encouraging. But Randy's okay with me slamming him here. The idea of economic development, really, blue-collar workers are what we've consistently pursued here. But the creative community is looking for opportunities like this. So we house in our museum a collection of art from all the years that we've hosted artists. Canada, New Zealand, New York, California. All these artists have come to this small community. And each time we pay those artists, we give them a place to stay, we feed them. We're not about taking advantage of artists. We're trying to create young new artists to stay here in this community. So the thing that we've been working on recently is gardening, working on brownfields. We've created about 30 metal structures that we are going to collaborate with youth to set out in the community. Did anybody see the corner where the murals are? Both of those artists are pretty famed artists, and that's a brownfield. So we popped up one year with some giant flowers, but our hope is to go several different places and possibly the campus of each school that we work with. So again, we'll be working with a variety of schools, focused on rural especially, and allowing that artwork to be seen by the public. Now, if we could increase your interest financially, we could go back to a larger scale opportunity for the community. But in the park, there was no security. We moved to the Capitol. We had an invitation to go to the Capitol. We're beautiful security. But changing themes, went to the prison for street art, more security. That was great. Went out to County Park. The sheriff was behind us. Very great security there. But we found with the unusual pop-up, sometimes it's behind a fence or on a school yard, we're then again getting the security that we need. So there's many things that are out there at play, and we are now partnering statewide and bringing opportunities that we couldn't get in Cole County if we didn't partner with other cities. Okay? Any questions?
Well, my one question would be, what is the specific project you're going to use this money for in the upcoming year?
Okay.
I mean, you spent a lot about. I mean, I'm certainly familiar with a lot of the stuff you've done in the past. They're good projects. What are we going to do?
We call it a pop-up.
Okay,
and so this is a gardening pop-up.
Okay.
They're about 22 feet tall, and we'll go to each school that we partner with, and there'll be a sort of a collection. We use raw, old clothing, yarn, a variety of things. But we've built now close to 30 structures that we can take to. We could partner with as many as 5 different schools.
Okay.
So that's our first goal. There is a sketchbook project that we're looking at. It's a little more costly, but if we can get them to cooperate with us, we'd like to bring that at a festival that's occurring. And our pop-ups could, also be there at the same time. But our main focus is the pop-up.
So the contract you're going to submit to us is going to be specifying the pop-up as the program?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I mean...
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, if you want to get specific, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to
And
be
we have a lot
specific.
of photos. We did a grant that went to St. Joe's this year. And they, for the year, are finding that the color on those pop-ups still exists. So the sun is not destroying it, but people drive by. It's a wonderful experience. People stop, they photograph. We have youth opportunity of workshop. So that would be our goal.
Okay. Any other questions for Carla? No?
So if you want to increase that, don't forget that.
Get us an agreement, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Carla. Appreciate you coming in and the service you do to the
Yeah.
community.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
I'll send you kind of a sample.
Okay, all right. And share those packets with the public.
Okay.
Thank you
Nice to
so
meet you.
much.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is presentation on Salute to America from Kathy Crow. Kathy, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I guess I am here today. The county has been very great to Salute to America in the past with their $5,000 donation to us, and I'm coming to ask to increase that to 10. As you heard the chamber talk about economic development and the things that we need to do to attract businesses and people to live here. The events and stuff, I think, feel very strongly that is part of that. We work very hard to make this a free event for the whole community, not only Jeff City, but the outlying communities as well. Every year that our blueprint increases, we try to do new stuff to keep everybody entertained and we don't go stale on a lot of things. So that's what we're here, and as you heard the chamber talk about, we have electrical issues with the downtown area as far as plugging in all the bands, and to increase our footprint, the electrical part is very important for us, and that, of course, is going to cost us some extra money. The Salute to America Foundation is not a profit organization, so most of the years, all we do is try to break even. We don't try to make a whole lot of money off the event. Last year we had a pretty good turnout and got to put some money back, but that's why I'm here. Any questions?
How do you guys coordinate with the businesses in our community that sell food? And because when I come down to Salute America, I see the huge number of out-of-town people that bring their food carts in. And they're not even neat, cool food carts. It's like carnival food carts, you know. Do we coordinate with the downtown, since it's a downtown location, do we coordinate with the downtown businesses, and we coordinate with the other local businesses in the community that have the ability to bring their wares in?
We do not actively go out to them. We do have a website that if they're interested in bringing in a food cart, that they can fill out an application. I don't think...
An application?
Yes.
I mean, I assume we would, since we as a community help pay for it, they get a discount as opposed to the people from out of town that come in?
No.
How do we, I guess my question, maybe I'm inartful in asking my question. How do we promote local businesses being involved?
Well, all the downtown businesses, I mean, we work very closely with all the bars and restaurants in the downtown area.
Because I know a few years ago there was an issue where some of the food carts were stationed in front of a restaurant, which is kind of not a good way to go about it.
Most of all the food providers are down by the, they are down in front of Eris's.
So we need to make sure that doesn't occur?
It's hard. I mean, again, it's the electricity part that we have the issue with. If the the food court vendors need to plug into electricity, there's not a lot of areas in the downtown area where we can do that. So right now, all the electricity is on that block, which is in front of Eris's. And Eris's gets a lot of traffic during the 4th of July.
Keeping the food court in front of them?
I have not personally heard from them that there's been a problem. I mean, they can't keep... I mean, their doors are packed through the 4th of July.
What about our various vendors in the community that do have food carts? Can you all make an effort to reach out to them directly?
We tried to work with Prison Brews last year and did their food court back behind Safi's for the what's that beanbag thing, the toss thing we did. But I don't think we've ever turned anyone away that's wanted to. Welcome In Again was uptown.
Can you all reach out to the local businesses?
Do we reach out?
Can you reach out? Will you reach out? I mean,
we will.
You're asking for additional funding. So it seems to me that for additional funding, there ought to be at least a little bit more effort to because that costs you nothing to make some phone calls. Not you personally. I know you have somebody that does this for you.
Yeah.
It costs nothing to make a few extra phone calls. Is that something we could get a commitment to reach out to the local businesses and offer
Of course.
them, hey,
I mean, we're all about. I mean, that's why we do this event.
I'll
for
tell
the
you,
community.
I would rather see. I think Burl Lutz still has a trailer, doesn't he?
Those vendors down there pay.
I understand that, but I'd rather have him downtown and keeping things local than have some vendor from Timbuktu come in, pay $500 to help pay for the event, and then take all the money and leave the community. Because there's no benefit to the community for that. But on the other hand, if Lutz's or any other the local, I just use them because I know they used to have a trailer. Any of the other local vendors come downtown, well, they may help pay for the cost, but they also keep the money in the community. And the money stays in the community. That helps pay the revenue for the community, which then helps us be able to justify paying for additional.
What do they pay down there? I don't remember. I served on the committee. Well, Chris is on there now, but I don't remember what they paid to have
I don't
booth
know
down there.
off
But
the
if
top of my head.
if somebody local wants to do it, I agree with Mark. If let's do it, give them a discounted price, and
Much
try to
prefer
keep
to
it
have
local.
local businesses.
I mean, I
I
don't
agree.
disagree with that. I forget what they pay though, and that's how it was always looked at. And it was open to anyone.
And with that type of commitment, I don't have an objection to increasing the funding. But without that type of commitment, I would oppose it.
Well, you will have that type of. Chris will make those phone calls.
No, it'll be in the agreement.
No.
And there'll be a comeback.
We don't have any issue whatsoever. I mean, we're all about the community. That's why we
Perfect.
even do this, is for the community. So,
And it seems like there's not been that much opposition to having some food downtown, and a lot of it's down on Capitol Street too, to keep it out from in front of them. The downtown businesses still get some.
The ideal place to put it would be in front of St. Peter's.
The beer garden is all. It's not something that's necessarily served down there. So if somebody wants
Yeah.
regular beer,
the other thing, electricity in a flat area.
Let's
which
say in
is,
front of St. Peter's would be the ideal location.
yeah.
well, they don't want to go down there because
You have church, depending on when the 4th of July is,
Yeah, if it's a Sunday.
or a Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
So there's issues all the time. So, but we will do our very best, I promise.
Okay. We need to put it on the agenda to approve it because it's not on the agenda. So we'll take it up, but get that on the next meeting where we can approve that agreement.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
Thank you
Kathy.
for coming in, Kathy. We really do appreciate it.
Do we put a price tag in the agreement, or do we talk about that day?
We'll talk about that day.
Okay.
So, thanks again, Kathy.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
You might have to fill in the blank amount.
Okay. Michael?
Well, I just have a couple of areas that I'm wanting to update you on before I ask for something. I'm going to update you first. Updating is you approved for furniture. We got our sofas in. They came in just this past Monday. The dryer, it came in. You gave us 500. I think we came in under the 500 on that. Replaced the tennis table for 600. It came under that amount, and also for the metal detector, it came in under the 200. So we came under, I believe, in every area that we identified
Hear that?
at this point.
Yeah.
I said I was going to ask you for something, but I'm asking you. We got 2 grants, and I need to increase our revenue side to take it out on the expenditure side for 2 activities that we have. And I've got a copy of the grants here.
We'll need to put that on the agenda. We can't.
Okay.
Yeah. Those will actually have to go on the agenda.
Okay.
And if it's a budget adjustment,
It's a budget adjustment. 'cause-
then it's got to have the 10-day reading waiting period. We don't have.
Okay.
We're stuck by law on that
Okay,
one.
and I have
so.
the 2 right here that we have.
So what I would suggest you do with respect to those 2 grants is we get them on the agenda. We can do a first reading on Wednesday because that's just a first reading and we don't do anything. But then when we put it on for the second reading approval, if you can be here to explain it, that would be great.
Okay, fine.
How's that?
Okay, that's great.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thanks. Any questions for Michael?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve a proclamation declaring March as American Red Cross Month.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I'd like to award to Dave. Thank you for coming, Mike. Come on along. Picture time here. We're going to do that. Let's step in front. Maybe that's easier.
Just get ready.
There you go.
Take 2, 3 here. Everybody smile.
That's what we do in our house. Beer. Our house, we say pickles. We say
Yes,
pickles.
they are.
Stag.
That's not going to be a very good picture there, is it?
I did that for him.
Thank you very much. One more, just in case.
Jeez, I'll be blind.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Dave, thanks for everything you guys do for the community. And Mike, you also. We really appreciate the service, Red Cross.
Thank you guys.
You guys do appreciate it. Let us know what else
I
we
got
got to do.
Facebook emails I get all the time, so I get that. All the event ones coming from.
Anything you guys need, make sure you let us know. Okay? We appreciate your all service. Thank you very, very much. What?
Can we ask for money?
Absolutely. Doesn't mean you get it, but you can always ask. All right. Next item on the agenda is signing of agreement with CGM which is Health Department software.
Right. And I actually have two agreements today. They're both with how our electronic medical record system interfaces with the state's Show Me Vax registry. Right now, they're set up for unidirectional service, which means our electronic medical record system will automatically input the data for what immunizations we give into the Show Me Vax registry. Right now, we have to have a staff person manually enter them. So that's a good thing. In a few months, the state is going to be ready for bidirectional service, which means that if one of our patients gets an immunization somewhere else, it goes into Show Me Vax, it'll automatically update our registry too. But the state's not ready for that, but we thought we'd go ahead and have both of them signed. That way when the state's ready, we're ready.
What's the cost?
We had that figured into the proposal we brought you when we wanted to go back to CGM from NetSmart, and we're hoping it's like $7,500. And we're hoping that cost will just come out of the money we're saving from not paying the higher maintenance fees with NetSmart.
Okay.
And I have copies if you don't have them.
Yeah, if you want to give me yours.
Sure. Mine aren't tagged.
Sorry, I didn't tag these. I couldn't remember if I had the most recent.
Okay.
Or not.
So there's two contracts here with CGM Clinical. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're asking us to approve both of them?
Yes. That way I don't have to come back when the state's ready to accept bidirectional feeds.
Is that, that's the one you had attached to the minutes? So same different price tags, 2,500 license fee.
So one of them is 2,500, and one of them's 5,000. The 5,000 is the one we need now,
No,
right? That's the unidirectional.
Right. And
That's
then
what
it'll
we
be-
need now, and then the bidirectional is the 2,500 that'll come online later on.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the $43.75 maintenance.
That's per month. We'll pay a monthly fee. But that was figured into the cost that we brought you, was it last month when we went to switch back?
And what was the NetSmart? What was their maintenance fees? Do you remember?
It was like
Yeah,
five.
a lot.
I want to say $5,000 a month versus the $1,500 that we pay now.
Yeah, it was, I don't know.
It was a large-
I mean, it's enough that you're saving a considerable amount over a period of time.
Yeah.
And did we ever hear anything from them? since
I
we-
sent them an email, and I
Bless
heard
you.
nothing back. Well, we had a post go live review set for tomorrow. So last week they emailed me and asked if we could go ahead and still do that post live review because they wanted to basically learn from what happened, what was wrong. And I said that was fine. If they wanted to come here, we would share our concerns with them, but not on our dime. They would be paying for it. So they're driving down from St. Louis or Kansas City on their dime, and we're going to professionally give them constructive criticism without giving them any hope that we will reconsider our decision.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, if you're sold on them and this is where we're going to stay, then good deal.
And Jill has looked
I
at
thought
it.
NetSmart
Yes.
was what we
Yeah,
needed.
Jill. And at this time, CGM is not asking us to renew the contract that has been in place with since 2003 with them. We're on like a month-to-month basis with them. We can give them 30 days notice to terminate, but they're not asking for a new contract for their services.
But Mark wasn't here for that discussion that we had and what we decided. But they basically updated all their stuff, which
Perfect.
they said they weren't going to do, or that's why we went to this other software vendor. And so just to kind of get Mark up to speed a little bit.
What ultimately happened was Altier, the original company, kind of folded up, and CGM, I think, purchased them, and it was a whole new leadership deal. So at that point, they suddenly progressed instead of not doing anything.
Right.
So
Okay.
we could have, if we would have known, obviously, then what we know now, we
Sure.
would have never
We
gone down the other road at all. But that wasn't a viable deal when we looked at Insight. It just, they weren't doing anything, we had to move. So.
Yep.
How does I know we had spoken with the community health center at one point, and I don't know what kind of software system they were on, but how does all that work? I mean, like your software, will it work with like the hospitals and the community health centers? And I mean, have you looked at any of that? And
I doubt it. And I know that when I was with Department of Health and Senior Services, one of the county health departments, they were trying to get their electronic medical record system to talk to Show Me Vax. And they're doing that through HL7 messaging. But unfortunately, I think all of the EMR systems are very
They're very
very
specific.
specific
I mean,
and
it's
don't
just
talk to
like-
each other.
I mean, when I was in Capital Region, obviously they did Meditech. I have no idea what St. Mary's does. That's all dictated out of St. Louis. So it's kind of, I mean, everybody has the same concepts, but they're just not the same deal.
And they're competitors.
Yes.
I
But
mean,
we need to make sure the CHC system and our system does eventually work.
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know
I think
what
that's
they
really
have. I'll have
critical.
to ask 'em.
That's part
Yeah.
of the support infrastructure that serves our mission, and I think that's important that we work together with them.
Well, I don't know the arrangement between you guys and the other one, but who's going to drive the vote on that one?
Well, I don't know that there's a driving the vote. I mean, I think that needs to be something that's done cooperatively and works together. I mean, we talked about this when we looked at potentially doing the clinic over at Lincoln. Ultimately, you have to get that network working together. It's the network that supports, poor folks in the community. We do one part of it, they do the other part. If the two systems can't talk to each other effectively, it causes all sorts of problems. I mean, for example, we talked about scheduling. Just scheduling, being able to have somebody show up and get things scheduled at one location or the other is of huge value, and those are examples of things we need to work
Well,
together on.
I mean, like I said, I don't know any of the agreements, but the deal with CGM that is kind of a nice thing is the fact, I mean, I'm not normally a cloud computing person, which means cloud computing is everything sits somewhere else. We don't actually house it here. We just use it, but it's all in California. But that's something that can easily be done pretty much at any place you want to, have internet access. But if somebody at the other side decides we're only going to do it this way and whatever, I don't know. That's why I'm asking
Right.
who gets to decide what gets used or not, and that can lead to issues if there's not an agreement between. You have to get us about to do one thing.
Right.
I don't think we're at a point of saying that somebody decides. And what I'm saying is let's work together.
I'll
Because
find out what's
the two
going on.
hospitals are true competitors. They're not going to work together. I don't mean it in a bad sense. They
Right.
cooperate on lots of things. But they're not going to share their systems because they are competitors. I mean, they're in a business. We are not a competitor to the CHC. We shouldn't be. And they shouldn't be a competitor to us. We're trying to serve the same need. We're not out there to make money.
I'm not saying it's a competition thing. I'm just saying if they don't work together, you got to kind of choose one or the other if you want to do the same thing. I mean, that's the.
It seems like we're talking about two different things, though. I mean, the actual medical record that could be shared. I mean, the hospitals should be. I mean, I thought was the whole push for.
HIPAA laws actually say unless you're directly involved with this patient for whatever reason, you can't see anything of theirs. It doesn't matter if the Cole County Health Department doesn't have anything to do with a patient that goes to the community health center. They don't have a right to look at those records, and that's kind of where you get into some of these.
Right, but if that person comes into the health center and they need to pull up their health records, how are they going to do that electronically? I mean, nobody's going to walk around with their folder and say, "Okay, here's my health records."
But if we put for immunizations, if we put all of ours into Show Me Vax, which we do, and they go to the community health center for a sick appointment and they want to know whether or not they've had their flu shot, they can and they access Show Me Vax, they can look up and see what shots the person has received. That's one way to bridge the gap.
Okay.
But I will find out what system they're on.
I mean, it just makes sense that, if somebody comes into your clinic or the health department or the hospital, that whoever's seeing that person should be able to pull up all their records so that they know how to treat this person and not kill them.
Yeah, medical record portability is supposed to be part of ACA, but it's really not.
Right.
Not going to happen in the short term.
And that's where the disparity is. I mean, it's a great concept, but by putting HIP in place, it really makes that almost impossible unless you're all part of one big organization.
Everybody's entering the same stuff on the same computer
I saw
system.
a presentation from a group the other day at a meeting, and it is basically a big. They don't even house the data. It's just a place where somebody, if the hospitals belong and they put the data in there, you could go to the doctor and they could look up your name and find everything that everyone had entered about you, even down to like X-rays. It was a little bit Big Brother for me, but it was very interesting, and they're trying to get as many hospitals to participate. But that would make it it'll talk to everybody's EMR, and it would eliminate the problem of the proprietarism of each EMR. It was
And
very
that's
interesting.
Also, I mean, the Show Me Vax is exactly what that's trying to accomplish. Is you've
Right.
got kind of a clearinghouse of vaccinations that everybody that's part of it can access.
But is
the
that-
VA is the biggest thing in the U.S. They would actually have universal, and you can get anybody's record from anywhere. But that's only obviously veterans and not
Right.
anybody else.
I assume Show Me Vax is probably only participated by people in the Show Me state.
Yes.
So once you go out of state, you
Yep. Don't get your shots in Kansas. Of course, you may need shots to go to Kansas.
take them with you.
I entertain a motion to approve the 2 agreements with CGM.
So moved.
Second.
A motion second to approve the agreements. Call roll, please.
Chris?
Yes.
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 A roll call vote. The agreements are approved. Here you go.
Me or for Marvin?
Here you go.
I have to sign.
Those have to go to Marvin and Kristen.
Oh, okay.
The vendor has to sign it.
They have to go to Marvin and Kristen first.
Yeah, they have to have the right language on them.
When they're done, you need to take them back to that vendor. Get them signed.
Okay.
Okay. You want to talk about the NACO prescription card?
Sure. Have you guys ever seen one of the cards? Okay, so you have seen the cards. Okay, so they're free for anyone. There's no eligibility requirements. It only gives a user discount on prescriptions that are not covered by insurance. So, some people have health insurance that don't have a prescription part, or there might be a medication that's not covered by insurance. I'm not sure which ones would be. Maybe, some specialty acne medicine or something like that that insurance is not covering. They could use this card. The discount, one card can be good for a whole family. Every family member doesn't have to have a card. And it can be up to 24% of the cost of medication. I thought the interesting thing was I got on their website and played around a little bit. You can look and see how much discount you'll get on what medication. I know that one of our staff members tried to use it the other day for some ADHD medicine, and there was hardly any discount. You can also use the card for pet medications. If it's a medication they would give to humans, so of course not flea and tick repellent, but if it's like a steroid or an antibiotic or antihistamine, you can use it for a discount for that. So we give out the cards, or they can just go online and print one. I did a little research on how many here in this area. So in the 65109 zip code, there was 13 participating pharmacies. In 101, there was 8. And then I did a 50-mile radius of 65109, and there was 108. But the pharmacies do have to pay a small fee on each transaction, and it's like a fraction of the total cost of the medication. So I did make up a sample press release if you want to review that and put that out. And I do have some of the cards if anybody's interested in having one. But that's the
I think it's a
forward.
great free program, and so as long as Mark's okay with the wording and Jill.
It's not I thought the neat thing was that you can go to the site and see what the discount will be depending on the medication.
Looks good to me.
Yep, I'm good.
Come from the health department? Or
What would you prefer? You would come from us or come from you?
I mean, since I said it was a discount program that we offer, I probably prefer it came from us, but that's your
fine.
decision.
Especially since
Fine
you
with me.
offer them
I'm
at
good.
your place too.
Okay.
Jeff?
If you want to leave
Yep.
a bunch of them up here.
We're good.
on the counter.
Okay.
You got flea and tick vaccinations?
Thank you very much.
You need
I
some
know
for
some.
yourself?
Wow. Anything else for
No,
me?
I know some people that need them. Same ones I
Oh,
walk around, them little air
Thank
fresheners
you.
that I tie to a string. Here, you need to wear this.
Oh, goodness.
All right, Mike. EMS software contract approval.
Jill has reviewed the contract. This goes back to the capital purchase for the image trend software. I've got 2 sheets that need to be signed. One is for the product, and the other reaffirms the HIPAA agreement that we're obligated to, specific to the medical records. Like I say, Jill reviewed the contract. Do you guys have any questions specific to that?
No, you emailed this all to us. It went back and forth a couple of times, so I think we've seen it all.
I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Call roll, please. Hello?
Oh. Call roll.
I got a motion and a second to approve the contract.
Motion in a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff is the motion. Chris is second. My bad. Would you call the roll, please?
Chris?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Yes. You can give that to her. To Michelle.
Mike was standing in front. I didn't know you guys were talking.
My fault. I'm on block for you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike. Highway safety grant applications for DWI enforcement and hazardous moving vehicle enforcement.
Okay, we're asking the same thing that we do every year for overtime. With the DWI, we're asking for a couple in-car video cameras.
It's all grants, right?
These are just the applications.
Okay.
And then with the HMB, we are asking for the overtime and 10 meters.
Okay. I entertain a motion to go forward on the grants.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Motion carries. I think you guys have to sign these too. When we get the actual grant, that's the time at which we have contract we'll have to enter into. So just sign on there.
Next time we need to put y'all at the front
Here you
of
go.
the agenda, because there wasn't any need for y'all to sit there 2 hours just to get this done. So, I don't know.
Well, I think we're gonna have to. I mean, if we're gonna do that, we need to figure out how to structure our agenda. If we, maybe have separate agendas for things like this that are just no discussion, just approval.
Yeah, because I don't know. I just
Well, we tend to, because of our nature of our busyness, we tend to try to cram as
Pass
much
that
as
to
we
Chris.
can into agendas. And sometimes things that take a lot of discussion get stuck in with things that take 2 seconds.
I mean, we got 2 agendas this week, and they're all pretty full. So,
But they only, in each one of them only has 2 items on it that will take any time.
right. So that's what.
All right, signing a court order on soil water conservation annual agreement.
I didn't really have them come visit because behind there is a statute that says we have to give to them, so.
We have to. We have to give to them. Why does it say that? Where does it say that?
Is this
That's
the
under
county?
welfare thing?
Is this the county soil and water conservation districts? Okay.
No, we're not required to. Where's that?
Joe said we would.
Who?
Joe. Okay, you see the statute?
Yeah, I see the statute. County commission of any county or governing body of each city times blah, 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 in which part may cooperate.
Okay.
That's a big difference, Debbie. I think we ought to have them come.
Okay.
I think there's advantage.
Everybody else we may do it.
Who do I call? Do you know?
Well, there's a name on here. John Lush.
If they're going to
Yeah.
provide a service
And
and
phone
we're on
number.
contract with them, then I'd like to have them come up here.
I've been up
Making
here for
everybody
7
do
years,
it.
and that particular group's never come up. So I think there is
Is
value
there
in having
is there
them.
several groups or is there just one?
Just
That's
one. Soil
USDA, isn't it?
conservation water.
Huh?
SCS, isn't it?
Well, I
USDA?
thought there was different.
I don't know. Some
I thought there was different.
Yeah, that's SCS, I believe. Well, no, this is
I
different.
thought there was different areas where different people served.
I think Cole County has one district.
Okay.
As I recall. All right, next item on the agenda is maintenance agreement with New World.
New World. At first, they gave us a 5-year agreement with them that they normally do because of our going out to bid on a financial package. I asked them to send us a 1-year agreement. And what you have in front of you is a 1-year agreement.
$58,000.
It did go up a little bit for only doing a 1-year agreement.
And then they're going to want us to buy their solution.
That's who's the lowest, I guess.
All right. I mean, we got to keep it upgraded. We don't have a choice.
Yes, the lowest of the best.
I entertain a motion to approve the maintenance agreement with New World.
So moved.
Second. Are we
Any
going to
discussion?
get that bid this year or?
Yeah, we
We'll
hope
be
behind
having
it.
it out by March the 17th. So start going out then, hopefully.
Yeah.
Calendar deadlines and stuff that we're looking at.
Okay.
But after I did talk to them, the implementation will take a little bit longer depending on who we go with. you
Okay.
know, So,
All right.
Okay. I'm good.
Call roll, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Our roll call vote. Maintenance agreements approved. Sign an agreement with JC Conventions Visitors Bureau Hot Bike Power Tour.
That's what you guys had the presentation on last week.
We
or
talked
week
about this
before.
pretty extensively. We didn't vote on it then?
No, didn't have the contract.
Okay.
We voted on something.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement. At least we can get it going.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion. Jeffrey?
I don't need. We discussed it that day.
All right, call roll.
Chris?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
By roll call vote of 2-1. Jeff is overruled and the agreement.
I lost
signed.
twice now on that same one.
Hey, can you bring that back so I can vote it again? Third time's the charm, man.
Another one coming here.
All right. Signing of Federal Equitable Sharing Agreement certification for the Cole County Sheriff's Department. Good Lord. Can you not find a shorter term? I blame that on him.
That's not our term.
Not our term.
So we got one for
Maybe
Mustang. What's the other one for? Oh, just for the Sheriff's Department? Okay. And I see Jill's notation. Okay by her. All right. So I entertain a motion to approve the Equitable Sharing Agreement certification on behalf of the Sheriff's Department and Mustang.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Chris?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
By a roll call vote, they are approved.
Thank you, Betsy.
Other items to come before the commission today. Debbie, you get your first shot. Go.
Just the Maryland Smussler and furniture over there. Do you want me to go forward with that bid?
It has to be bid. I don't see there's any way around it.
Agree.
And I think we need to get a memo out from Jill. You may basically all the departments. So John, you can just listen to this, and then if you have any questions, you can give us your input. But because it's valuable to have you hear this. Any vendor that the county purchases, the county, that's all agencies, entities, sub-entities, elected officials, etc., purchases from any vendor, if it goes over $4,500 in 90 days, we must bid it. Okay? There's no exception to that. I read Callahan's memo. It doesn't even talk about it. He ignores it. I don't know how we get around it.
This is going to be very challenging. We don't know what other elected officials are doing.
Well, they process their bills.
It's too late by then.
We don't have to pay them. Now, that is, the statute says very clearly that no contract and no purchase of goods can be approved unless the county commission approves it. And then anybody who orders it is on their own. I mean,
Unless
we're
they-
gonna get ourselves sued, and we're gonna have no leg to stand on, and potentially we're gonna be the ones held individually liable.
But it also went to say unless they had commission a stamped approval, right?
Right. But we have not, as far as I know, we've never given approval.
And so I just want to clarify, I mean, are we talking about everything that they purchase? So once we approve their budget, they still have to come back to us and ask to spend money?
I think they have to get approval to contract with other entities for goods.
So
I don't know how you get around
I
that.
have an example to throw
Yeah.
out. You tell me what to do in this situation. Most departments at some point in time buy something from Staples.
Right.
And right now in the system, there's no way to track that $4,500. And say we do it manually. So at some point in time, one person's going to come back and say, hey, I bought a pen. And you're the one person that goes over the $4,500. But that same day, I had 3 other people at Staples buying pens.
But we have an agreement with Staples, don't we?
No, we
No.
don't. So, how do I decide whose pen was bought first and who is the $4,500? I mean, it gets into this.
This is. Let's be honest, okay? This is the problem with the statute.
Right.
Okay. This is the reason every county and every elected official in every county has been trying to get this statute changed since I can remember. It doesn't work. It does not work. But that just because it doesn't work doesn't mean we get to not follow the law.
No.
I mean, so we have to come up with a process. We don't get a choice.
So in your example, and so let's take your example. So at the end of this year, we put out an RFP, and Staples has to comply with that RFP for everything. And I don't care how much they list, but I mean, and all we have to do is say they're the lowest and best vendor, and we can buy as much stuff as we want for the whole year.
We have an agreement for the whole year.
Yep.
Well, we do have that circumstance with Office Depot, I think, has the state bid, and we've
we can do that.
purchased
Yeah.
the
We
large
go off,
majority.
right.
But we do have people that say, hey, Office Depot doesn't have this particular color file folder that I need, or something to that respect, and we do
I
have
need it
people that
today.
go buy office supplies from other vendors. But those people do not talk to other departments, so, I mean, I really don't know when we're hitting that point and which person.
And does that fall under? So does that fall under? So say somebody needs something special. Can they go out and get 3 phone bids and buy something?
And
That's
that's
between
ex-
4,500 and 6,000.
And that's exactly what Road and Bridge did, but guess who was the lowest and the best bid? Samco. So they went and got a fireproof bulb in the middle of, I get this email in the middle of our discussion, over going to them with another purchase. I did not know that. I did not know they were the lowest. I did
See,
not
and
know
that's
they
the
were
problem
the
is, I mean, we need to have Jill. We need to have Jill give us a memo. We need an opinion. I mean, if departments can go out and do it on their own, as long as they comply with the 4,500.
Well, that's kind of where we've taken it
But-
in the
but I-
past, is each department is individual. And
But somebody's got to cite the statute, which says county, and then come up with a legitimate legal argument. I mean, Callahan's memo says departments don't have to comply with statute, or the county doesn't have to comply. Or no, let's see. I mean, it's just a conclusion. There's no analysis. There's nothing to hang your hat on. I don't want to get sued over it. Not that I've been sued in the last 7 years over it.
well, so another example is Samco has our cleaning products, and we already have a contract with them.
And the statute doesn't say that if you have a contract that gets you out of the number.
No, it doesn't. But so.
Oh, look who's back.
Yeah. Any purchase from.
Ears burning.
So any purchase from
forgot we had a
Samco
meeting.
would normally go over the 4,500, but on top of. So does that mean everything from Samco that you would buy, because we already have a contract for?
We need to look, Jill, we need to look. You're familiar with Callahan's memo on this whole bidding issue?
Debbie gave that to me.
It's probably as fast as you possibly can. We need your memo on how we comply with the bidding statute.
Regarding,
Everything.
Previous bid stuff.
Individual departments buying from the same vendor, things that were on contract with the same vendor. We got to address this comprehensively. And well, yeah, elected officials, independent departments. So
It's just something we're gonna have to look at with the new software too. Then.
we can look at that, we can make that one of the requirements now that it's
which
not
should be
out
a
yet.
pretty easy thing for them to do.
Right.
We just have to specify from when, the check date, the purchase order date, which
Right.
not everything goes through a purchase order.
Well, that's going to be a question that
I mean, you're going to get to the point where you have
You-
two people out at the same time.
you got a
buying something.
statute that was written in the 20s that we're trying to
That's-
apply 100 years
yeah,
later.
I mean, because there's just one bidding statute that talks about the limits.
Now, as I recall, there was an exception in there if you officially declare a purchasing officer.
Well, we could look at the purchasing officer statutes.
But that changes it for everybody else because once you declare a purchasing officer, nobody can buy anything from anybody without going through the purchasing
Right.
officer. So, for example, if you guys need pens, you can't buy pens. You have to go through the purchasing agent. But on the other hand, you never have to worry about the bid requirement then.
But on the other hand, you need to get her about 5 more people.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a catch. That's the problem is, you know,
There's no way to keep up.
we have to figure out a way to address this. Complying with the law is the one thing we have to do.
Well, I see two issues here. One of them That's what Debbie brought up the other day. If an amount has already been bid, do you calculate that into the $4,500 limit over 90 days? And there's really no guidance on that. Then the other one is, what about other elected officials going out purchasing things on their own?
Can't do it.
Right, which I've already told you, the other day in that email, there's a statute that says that they can if you delegate purchasing authority to them. But absent that,
That ain't gonna happen.
yeah. The commission is not on the hook, and these elected officials are personally liable.
We'll take a look at it and get us some comprehensive guidance, and then maybe what we'll have is an all-department, all-elected officials meeting to discuss it. We gotta get everybody on the same
And
page.
maybe you guys can get with Jill and kind of give them some of the, there's probably a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of people that probably are causing the problems. Vendors, maybe.
Well,
It's all departments.
I was going to say.
No, vendors.
Vendors.
Vendors. There may only be a small number of vendors that this really applies to.
Well, it depends. I mean, like that one
There's
filing
lots of
cabinet
vendors.
you're talking.
Staples, Samco. I mean,
Midnight Tire.
you know, there's just a small.
Well, I was going to say any kind of automotive supplies.
But now, like
office
we bid all our tires. The Public Works does.
Public
So they're
Works
all
does.
bid.
Juvenile does not.
Do you guys not bid?
We use state contract.
See, state contract's the same as bidding it.
Right.
So those are all out of it.
But at the same time, that vendor, if someone else goes out and buys something that
From
has
that
a state
vendor.
contract for tires,
Not just tires, but buy something else.
right?
Right.
So does that go into the 4,500?
Yes.
So that doesn't matter either, because anybody that goes and buys from McKnight Tire or something.
But if they're buying under the state contract, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't count.
right, but that's
I'm
only
sure
if
not
everything that
everything's-
is bought from that vendor is on a state contract.
But if
Yeah,
we just
what's your
got
point?
tires on state contract and they bought
They-
$4,500 worth of,
Some of
Transmissions, you would have it wouldn't work.
yeah.
Right, right.
All right.
I'm just making sure
All
we
right.
I mean, we
understand.
do have some departments that don't bid tires.
Because if it's
Juvenile,
in the
it's
contract,
not.
it shouldn't matter.
Get
It shouldn't apply to it.
get together, flush these issues out, get us an answer. We'll have a big meeting. We can all discuss it. We got to come up with a solution. The easy solution would be go to the legislature, but that's of course the most difficult solution. And there is one group of people that actively oppose that fix.
Well,
No,
we need to get
no, the
back on
vendors
board.
would love to have it fixed.
Really?
Newspapers. The Press Association opposes it. Is
Because they want you to advertise.
they want the advertising.
Of course, now there's a bill out that you can do it online.
They're fighting that one too.
I imagine.
Sorry, didn't mean to throw you under the bus, but it is what it is.
Not my department anyway.
There you go. All right, please try to do that as quickly as possible because I'm a little concerned about it now as we start to get in some bigger dollars. What else you got, Debbie?
We'll bid this project. That's all for right now.
Do we have any meetings next week?
You
We got
have
meetings
one
this week.
Wednesday, and then the next one is the 13th or the 18th.
Okay,
See you guys
we do
later.
have one.
See ya.
13th. We have a meeting on the 13th.
Yeah, I just moved it
Okay.
to the
13th and then the 18th. I just wanted to. I mean,
18th.
the thing I get aggravated with, and I didn't know if Marilyn thought it was me getting on her case about it, was when we started getting emails going back and forth, and we were talking about it, I was like, just put it on the darn agenda and let's talk about it then. Because I don't know, I get aggravated with it. I'd rather come up here and we can sit here and argue till we're blue in the face about it. I don't mind sharing some information, but
I think she thought you guys were wanting her out as soon as possible, so she was worried about the bidding and then taking 5 to 6 more weeks to order.
I'm not even talking about just her. We've had other things that have gone back and forth on it, and I've almost emailed back, Jeff has left this conversation, put it on the agenda or something.
I know.
It doesn't happen that often, but, you know, if we need to have another meeting scheduled to get stuff on there, because for whatever reason, then let's just do it, but we don't have to schedule a meeting just to schedule a meeting. That's why we're down to one meeting, because we've been knocking everything out.
And I don't mind these longer
We're here for the
meetings. I
extended
mean,
amount.
I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the extended presentations.
Maybe we can have employees not sitting around here and have them all on one day, and then have the public on.
Well, we were talking about
Yeah,
that
but
a
you know,
minute
you
ago.
get like Betsy. I'll use her as an example. She says, "I got to get this thing signed this week."
I know.
Well, we have a meeting. There's like 4 hours worth of talking.
You know. All right.
Yeah, when we have a show, if they start reading directly from the slideshow, we get to throw stuff at them or.
Do we need to consider a policy on public comment? We tossed it around a few years ago, and I don't think we ever came. When Chris, I think you might have been here, maybe in Pee Wee, we talked about it a little bit. Only allowing public comment on a certain day of the week or something like that. I don't think that's functional. I don't think that's a good idea. The reason I ask is, and it kind of came to my attention today, Randy's making a presentation and Carla chimes in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've always been pretty easygoing, and it was one comment, it wasn't. But, you could have a room full of people, and you could have everybody trying to talk over everybody. And we've had that before. I mean, there have been a few times I've had to yell to clear, just so we could conduct business.
Well, we've had side conversations going before that. We try to be a little laid back with it, but we may have to just start saying, hey, we've got a meeting going up here. If y'all want to talk, outside.
And then the question becomes, what if you have, for example, a large group of people show up, all of whom want to talk?
Pick a spokesperson. That's what we do. Sorry.
Well,
but I think,
I mean, for example, and this is going to happen Wednesday, that's why I think about it. We could have 60 people up here, all of whom want to get up and say something. Most of whom are going to say the same thing, probably, but they all want to get up and say something.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, maybe we give them a time limit on a presentation. Kind of like, I don't want to do what the city does, but they, you do have 3 minutes or whatever to say what you want to say, with the exception of certain people. So
I don't think that I mean Wednesday. I want to rush policy through because of Wednesday,
right?
And we'll kind of see how Wednesday goes and see how it flows. But if we get into issues, zoning could potentially be one. You could end up with large groups of people that all want to talk, and we've all been pretty good in being casual and informal and allowing everybody kind of have their say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Larry Vincent and Larry Rodman never seem to have any problem chiming in on issues. And by and large, we kind of give them pretty good latitude to do that. But at some point, we're going to have to make a decision on that.
Well, if it starts getting out of hand, I mean, we can make some kind of motion to stand in recess until tomorrow. And we can end it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we can play a game with it. I don't
want to play
need
games.
to worry about it.
Playing the game makes you look bad. And it's not what we intend to do. It's just we also have, I look at that agenda for Thursday. Excuse me, Wednesday. Wednesday's agenda. Have you guys looked at it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have one issue that will just take a lot of discussion, in all likelihood. Although I don't know about your Landing Creek Road issue, Jeff. But we have 100 other things that we have to get through on that list. We can have the facilities master plan discussion in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. Or it could be all day, and we can never get to the business of doing business. And I don't know how we address that issue. Because I've already got a call from Steve Eiley wanting to talk about him making another presentation, which, he spoke already, and allowing anybody who shows up to be able to have their say, too. I don't personally object to that. It's just we do have business we have to do.
Is there allowed for any agenda, active visitors to speak every time you do an agenda? Or?
Public comment used to be an item that was on the agenda years and years ago. It was taken off, I think, before my time. I don't remember it being on. I remember that when I first came up here, it was only if you wanted to talk to the commission, you had to make an appointment. It could only be on Mondays. We wouldn't do it any other day of the week. But that was back when we met every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Thursday. So you could say every Monday.
And before you had to post it 24 hours in advance, probably too.
But the problem became, so we'd have a meeting on Monday with nothing on the agenda or one item. We'd all have to take time out of our day to come over and vote one thing because nobody would sign up. But we'd already had the agenda day open, and as we learn, the second an agenda opens, there's somebody that'll throw something on the agenda. I mean, those account payable ones, those come out 4 months in advance, and I just know when one of those comes out, if I don't say no, it's going to have a full agenda on it. By the way, we have accounts payable.
Those are dates we go for because we don't want you to be here, you know.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying. So we know that. So we'll see how tomorrow goes or Wednesday goes. But it's just something to be cognizant of. That's the only thing I
I'm
had.
reluctant to do a policy, but
I'm too.
Yeah, because it never will address everything. But you got anything else? I did meet with our Proliance Energy on our gas.
How much have we
and
saved?
So his comparison for December, January, and February of this year versus last year, we've saved over $7,000.
Gas prices have gone up pretty high too.
Yeah, but if you remember, we hedged.
Right.
We hedged
So
our gas,
we may
and so
save more.
yeah. So that was just 3 months, and that was pretty hard. 3 months. January and February were pretty pretty harsh this year compared to last year. So we probably used more gas and paid less. So
Well, last year gas was cheaper.
Yeah.
Than this year. So could see a really huge.
anyway, has that been working out okay for you?
I'd be curious to know if your guy can let us know if we've been on Ameren, what that number would have been for this year. Because
Okay.
he has the usage rates,
Mhm.
and Ameren's tariffs are public. So
Right.
frankly, I'm sure he knows Ameren's tariff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could probably get that.
Because that would be really interesting to know. Because I think we potentially have saved
Uh-huh.
tens of thousands of dollars potentially.
Arctic Alliance, are they coming Wednesday for that facility?
Presume so.
I don't know
I have
if
no
we
idea.
actually invited them or not. Okay.
They were here when we said it.
Were they?
Yeah.
You do one.
If they want to come, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I was hoping to make a decision and move forward. I don't know if that's still on the table or not.
I think that's the point where Carrie asked if he should be here or not, and I don't know. So I'll call him.
And Jeff and I talked a little bit. Can we talk about this? I guess.
Yeah, it's old business.
So I don't see any historical value to the old jail, just the jail portion. And the only thing that I really see once we get everything is really the stone that's on the sheriff's house, and possibly the stone that's on the Monroe side of the jail.
There is no Monroe side of the jail. Jail faces the alley in the parking lot.
Well, but there is the sheriff's house doesn't cover
you mean
the
that little tiny bit.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
So I mean,
I don't
there's
even think of that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I still don't know where I'm at on this whole facilities master plan. I think that's probably the best location for another courthouse in the whole scheme of things. Lining up the floors, I agree. That's a good deal. And so, I don't know. I guess where I'm at is if there was some middle ground where we could, maybe even if we tore it down and we could relay some of that stone up and try to satisfy. And I'm okay too if we decide to tear the whole thing down. I just.
I want to take our time on it because right now I'm getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of heat about it.
From a very small number of people, or from a pretty broad ranging group of people?
There's a bunch, and I've saved emails. I've talked extensively with people. One lady that was born in the sheriff's house, her dad was sheriff, so I don't know. There's a lot of people that have sentimental attachments to it, and once we tear it down, we can't go back. So I want to make sure when we do this that I'm going to be okay sleeping at night with myself.
You guys know anything about moving buildings?
I thought about that too. We could give them the sheriff's house.
Tell them move it.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I mean, it's not that big. The sheriff's house is not that big a building.
No.
The jail is a big building, footprint wise. The sheriff's house not that big a building.
They've moved churches, houses, and stuff before.
So I've got somebody that emailed me over the weekend. They moved the entire Ray County courthouse in the 1920s using mules.
That courthouse couldn't have been that big then, though. It's probably a log house.
It's probably as big as the sheriff's house. But
I just, you know, it's like the question that I've posed to everybody that's contacted me, and I've tried to respond to everybody that has sent me an email or called me or whatever. It's that, where is the history? And they're hanging on to the shell, but that's not where the history's at. The history's on the inside. I mean, the history's actually being inside the jail or being inside the house with it all intact. I mean, if it's all stripped and gutted, there's nothing left.
There is no history to it. I mean, let's just be honest. There is no history to it. The president, or Steve Eiley, wrote a editorial in the paper. I don't know if you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, so the sheriff's house was built, and it appears that there were a couple of sheriffs that lived in it. Maybe there were a few. None of them are famous. I mean, none are famous. It's not like Wyatt Earp lived in the sheriff's house. These are people that I've never heard of them. The only way anybody's ever heard of them is if you research and find out who they were. And even then, nobody's heard of them. And the jail itself, when the only thing you can hang your hat on is one night Johnny Paycheck was arrested in the jail. And that's the only famous thing that's ever happened in the Cole County Jail. I'm sorry, Johnny Paycheck's just not that big a deal. So, and I've heard no other, and literally that was the only justification for the jail. I don't know if you read that in that entire article. The only justification for the jail was Johnny Paycheck spent one evening in the jail. I couldn't even tell if he spent the night there. He was arrested. I don't know if he spent the night or not. On an outstanding warrant from another jurisdiction.
Another state even, wasn't
Yeah, another state. So, you know, it's not... He didn't commit armed robbery in Jeff City and get arrested and housed there.
Probably the only reason they booked him is so they come in there and play in there or something.
Didn't he play at like the prison, and then when he came over here, they arrested him? Something like that. But you know, I don't see anything historic about it. And the letter to the editor did not, or the article, whatever it was, didn't raise anything that was historic. Based upon that analysis, if that makes the house historic, then every building, I mean, I was born out on a house on Henwick Lane, and my mom still lives there, and that was 40, I guess we moved in when I was 3, so it's 45 years ago. 6 more years, I guess it's historic too, huh? Come on, it's not, that's not realistic. Sorry, Jeff, you either, or no offense, Chris, you either. I mean,
no.
It doesn't, the fact that somebody who was a Cole County elected official lived there doesn't make it historic. And if it did, well, whole damn community would probably be historic. We got lots of elected
Well, sure. I
officials.
mean, I guess you could say, well, what was there prior to the parking garage going up? You know, there was probably some historic buildings there, or what was there when?
You seen the downtown picture when this wasn't here, and there was a house, this beautiful old house right here,
They tore that old jail down at the city too.
which arguably was historic
Yes,
because
they did.
Frank James surrendered and was actually held there while he was.
Or what was there before Central Bank erected that great big facility?
So, well, you know, I would prefer that on Wednesday we make a decision. If you guys are not at that point, we are a team of 3. We're not a team of 1 or 2. We're a team of 3. I mean, if we're ready to make a decision, then I'd like to get on with it, because at that point, whichever way we make the decision's made and we go forward. If we're not ready to make a decision, then I don't know what we do next. At a certain point, it just becomes delay because we can't decide.
Did the drawings ever have outside views? The new ones that he did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't, if they did.
Are those the new ones?
Okay, I want to make sure what I was telling everybody is correct, that it would match the stone and stuff of the existing
I
courthouse.
think that was the space.
That's space. There's a.
That's all I could
somewhere.
Because I think what we need to do is, when we go through this, whatever we do,
He had
it's
one
going to
in
be,
there.
it's going to keep being as transparent as possible. We're not trying to hide anything. Get as many pictures and views and stuff out there so they know exactly what's
This
going
is
on.
just the space one.
How much space was on the actual jail footprint, not including the sheriff's house? Do you remember?
Now I got to unroll all these things I just rolled up again.
I know. I'll wait till you roll them up to ask you another question. Do you remember about?
Hit you with them. I think it was maybe 1,200 square feet of floor.
So we were going to need the sheriff's house to do an actual.
To do the full-size courtroom.
Full-size courtroom.
The
We have
sheriff's
to have the
house.
sheriff's house.
You can't. The solution. I mean, I'm speaking as one of three, obviously, but the solution, and I've been very public about saying this. I've talked to lots of people about it too. Option A is not an option. Option A is a waste $800,000.
I agree.
Because we spend $800,000, and we don't solve our problem. So
Well,
that's not an option.
It's
So
not $800,000 either. I mean, it's going to be. Let's
Well,
get
no,
real. It's going to
yeah.
be $1 million or more.
That's the floor
I mean,
plan
by the time
one,
we've
Debbie, there's a difference.
time we've restored everything and
Windows, new
Window.
boiler.
Yep.
Because we don't have heat over there right now.
Even if it's, let's just say it's $800,000. Keep it the low number.
Mm-hmm.
$800,000 to not solve a problem is wasting $800,000.
And we'd still have Carnegie.
And we still have Carnegie.
Yeah,
because it's not enough space to get everybody out of Carnegie.
Right.
So that doesn't solve any problem. So in my mind, option A is literally, it's not an option. So there's only two options in my mind. And their options, I think we are at a point now where we ought to be able to vote on, which is tear it down and build the space we need, or don't. And just walk away and just leave it as it is and look at other locations. Or do nothing, for that matter. But I mean, there is nothing we can do with that building that solves our courtroom problem.
Well, I'll talk to the judges about it too, trying to just get a grasp on it. You've had more interaction with them and the courtrooms.
That's just our building.
I went to law day the other day,
Mhm.
and it was very interesting.
Did you go to criminal or a civil?
It was criminal.
Oh, those are even more
Yeah.
interesting.
So, anyway, just the amount of people that were just sitting there out in the halls waiting to get in the courtroom, and the amount of people that they processed, and then not only to see, having to bring prisoners up and bring them into a holding cell, and then have them to bring them into court and then walk them out. I mean, there's just really some serious issues there, and some safety concerns for the marshals and some other people. And I mean, it was very interesting to see all that. So it's, I don't know if you could move some of that back to the old jail where you wouldn't have to do that. I think it would really help that cause.
Yeah, I mean, it would get you a lot of benefits to go back there.
And having a secure way to bring them into court without having to have a holding cell there at the back of the courtroom.
Maybe even nicer by the elevators, so you don't have to prance them down the hallways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, taking risks that way.
See, a dead body was found at a Cole County lodging establishment.
Yeah. What the?
Get on that!
Not my beat, that's Jeff.
Not your beat, that's Jeff.
Well, we'll have
Is that
plenty
where
to
he's
talk
at?
about.
Probably. I
The
don't
dead
know.
body?
I only came to this because I'm covering the chamber annual report tonight, so this way I
Ah,
know we're going to
okay.
say.
Cool.
All right, you got anything else to go up for now?
No.
All right, I entertain a motion to stand in recess.
So moved.
Second.
All those fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Stand in recess.
I did used to cover a county commission in Pulaski County that
Did
did
you really?
meet every Monday and Wednesday
Yeah.
from 9 to 11, and they never had anything to do, so they just sit there for 2 hours.
And did she talk
With
to you
4
about the
reporters, and that's it.
So let me tell you what it was like in the old days up here. And the old days are like right before I came up here. You had 3 retired guys that were the county commissioners. And they would come in every morning and they'd sit in here and drink coffee. All day.
Yeah.
Every day. And somebody'd come in and say, hey, I need to talk about some issue. Oh, well, we'll just go in here and do it.
They wouldn't post notice.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell anybody what was going on. They just had this thing that said the commission's in session from 8 to 5.
Yeah, I was told before I got there that